Today I'm going to show you how to play Bible verse memory game. So the first thing you should see when you open this box is the instructions and the game board. So the game board consists of three players and a judge. So each player is going to choose what number player they want to be, and somebody is going to choose to be the judge. So let's start by explaining roles. The judge is going to be the person that decides if the memory verses are close enough if they're paraphrased, and the judge will also determine lots of cases where somebody says the answer to a question almost at the end of the time. So that's what the judge does. And then this game can also go into teams. So if you're player 1, player 2, and player 3, but there's more than 4 people, then you assign each other into teams, and this would be team 1, team 2, and team 3. So in teams, there has to be a team leader, and that team leader is going to be the person that speaks whenever giving answers or choosing squares to place the game pieces. No one else in that team can talk except the leader, and only when you're discussing the answer to a question can you talk. So otherwise, your turn will not count in the game, and you would lose your turn, and the question would be counted as wrong if someone else says the answer. So now I'm going to show the board here. This is what the game consists of. There's 3 colored game pieces because there's player 1, player 2, and player 3, or team 1, team 2, team 3. So each team or player is going to choose their color, their preferred color to play with, and you will sit in here. So this is kind of like checkers, but the Bible version of it. And the game is mostly about saying memory verses and answering biblical questions, so just be ready for that. And after setting that up, you're going to see these biblical character cards. And there are 4 characters for these cards. There is Goliath, Joshua, Jacob, and Haman, Mordecai cards. So each of those have roles that kind of decide what happens to you. So if you get a Goliath card, here, let me put what it says here. You can pause this video at any time to read what the card says or anything else you need to do. So the Goliath card provides no privilege to the player other than the ability to bluff your opponents. You may boast about your power, but ultimately you have none. So if you get a Goliath card, you can brag about winning or brag about anything else that you have going on well in the game, or if you get an answer right, you can brag about it, but in the end, you have none. That's what this Goliath card is about, so that's that one. you have your space there to brag about it. Anyway, the Joshua card, let me show this. This card will allow you to place your game piece on the board on any unoccupied square of your choice, except on a red square, without responding to a scriptural quote or trivia question. So this is a very beneficial card that allows you to put any of these pieces on the board or any square without having to answer a question or recite a memory verse. So that was Joshua. And then there's Jacob. Let me show this one. Alright, so this card allows you to remove one of your opponent's game pieces from the game board and place yours in the space instead. So this is another very beneficial card, and it allows you to remove a piece from the board that's from one of your opponents, and you can place one of your pieces in that place instead. So it's a very beneficial card. And then there's last but not least, there's a Haman and Mordecai card. Let me see. So if you have this card and an opponent attempts to remove one of your game pieces from the board, you not only get to keep your game piece in place, but you also get to remove one of their game pieces instead. So that's that. I will give some examples of this later so that you guys can kind of see in what instances you can use those cards. So you should also see one of these little boxes, yellow boxes, which are Bible scriptures. So let me go ahead and get that open. So for this, these are short Bible scriptures that you are going to recite by memory. So the way that you know which one to recite is on the board. You should see, let me just zoom in on this. Alright, so I hope you can see that there's numbers here. There's B20, A55. The boxes they all have numbers. So when it's your turn, you pick any number at all on this board that's unoccupied, and then the judge is the one that's going to get these. So the judge would be the one to get these and find that number in these cards, and then ask you the question or tell you the verse for you to recite by memory. And you may paraphrase, but the judge will be the one to decide if it was close enough to be right or not. And the judge will also tell you if it's right if you get a multiple choice question. And if you get it wrong, the judge cannot say the correct answer, because the card would still be an option to other players and they cannot know the right answer. So that's that. And the way that you start the game is the person to the right of the judge is the first person that starts, or team. And then after that, it just goes counterclockwise, and you each get your turn, and you each have exactly 2 minutes, which is this little time thing that comes with your game. And once you flip it over, and once these 2 minutes are done, you should have your answer Actually, before those 2 minutes are done, you should have your answer and you should have told it to the judge already. So, if you do not have your answer by the time that is over, your turn does not count, and neither does the answer that you gave after it, if you gave an answer at all. So, that's what this is for. And I'm just going to really quickly show some of these cards that are double-sided. There's A and B on the other sides. So let me just show really quickly example. Alright, so that's what it should look like. And once you are done with these, then, the way that you can know if somebody won is you should get 5 of these pieces in a row, straight across, up, down, horizontally, diagonally. So it can't be just messed up like this. If you get 5 like this, that does not count. It has to be like this, or like this. That's the only way it counts. So, of course, you are allowed to block others. It's kind of like checkers, like I was saying, but this is how you can tell. So let me put an example here. For example, let's say yellow is player 2. They have about 3, let's say 3 there, and player 1 is blue. Let's say these have 2 here, and then green has 1 over here in the red one. So alright, so let me kind of explain what to do here. Let's say you go for a biblical character card and you get the Joshua card. Let's say Team Yellow gets the Joshua card. This card, also, there are these little spaces on the board that are shorter ways of seeing what the card does. For example, Joshua here says, occupy space without answering a question. So, that's the short version of this card. And yellow, that means yellow can occupy a space anywhere at all without having to answer a question from these. So, let's say yellow wants to go here, going for the win. So, that's what a Joshua card does. An example. And then let's say you get Jacob. Let's say Team Blue got Jacob. So, this card allows you to remove one of your opponent's game pieces from the game board and place yours in the space instead. So, blue, of course, is going to remove this one from yellow and place theirs here, using the benefit of the Jacob card. So, the next one is Goliath. Let's say green got the Goliath card. Well, green does not really have anything to brag about right now, so you could just make up your own thing to brag about, but good luck with that. Anyways, there's also a Haman and Mordecai card, which I am trying to find. Okay, I can't find it, but the Haman and Mordecai card, which is explained over here, is taking an opponent's game piece if they attempt to take yours. So blue obviously took yellow's piece. the turn before, so yellow knows that blue is attempting to block them. And yellow got the Haman and Mordecai cards, so they're obviously going to remove blue's piece and place their piece there instead. So yellow is the closest to win right now because it's 5 spaces in order to win.